Hello and welcome back to Tears Collective. Today we are playing World of Warships. I'm going to bring to you a compilation of various torpedo kills I've recently gotten in World of Warships. Obviously most of these are going to be destroyer kills because that's where most of the damage is going to come from, unless you're an American destroyer. That being said, I do have a very good game of American destroyer a little later that will show you that they're not just gunships. Today, the first one I'm going to be showing you is going to be of the Japanese Tier 4 destroyer, Isokaze. Is a fancy little ship right here. On the map that you're busy playing, for the life of me I couldn't remember the name of the map. You start off with two sections of your fleet. It's sort of cut in half. One is put in the north, one's in the south. And you've got to try and vie for the middle area because you can interchange between the north and the south. But it's a bit of a gun, you know, all the guns go right into that area very, very easily. But as a destroyer, it's some of the only protection that you can get in the area. The little island that you see that I'm driving towards is a very good way to go if you want a little bit of cover, and you can slow down, especially if you're an American destroyer and you want to give yourself an opportunity to pop some smoke and just fire off your barrels as much as possible. And if you're feeling extra sneaky, you can wait a couple, maybe a minute, maybe 30 seconds, for the enemy cruisers or destroyers coming up from the south to pop around, and you can maybe be able to hit them with some guns or a torpedo sprayer or so. But in this game, I decide to chug around the outside. I can see a few good ships on the north right side there. There's a couple battleships, a very nasty set of ships, and I'm fairly certain there's another cruiser back there. Probably one of the safest attacks that I've ever seen personally, because I'm very, very cautious in my destroyers sometimes, and then you get a lineup like this. Basically, it's a battleship row, and yes, they can destroy you in just a few hits, but they've got to hit you. And the trick is just to fishtail your body as much as possible, and if they simply can't hit you, then you're good. That being said, one of these battleship drivers is actually fantastic, and I was very, very impressed with him. So we see a lot of fighters in the sky right now. They're battling it out. You can see in the bottom left corner, just to the left of my guns, I've switched off my anti-aircraft, just in case the aircraft come nearby. My gunners start getting a little bit fancy with things. It makes it a little harder for me to be detected. I mean, when you fire anything, the other ships across in the enemies will start seeing it. So here I get close enough just to get to fire off some on this first I think it's an Iowa class, but the first battleship's coming up, and then we see that there is a Karlsruhe that has not moved. So I decide, I already put my torpedoes in the water. Let's get some more damage just in case they actually hit me. So I start firing off my guns. Japanese destroyers really don't have the best guns in the game. They're actually quite pitiful. That being said, just the torpedoes are phenomenal. And I mean, any extra damage you do, you can set things on fire relatively easily. I mean, they're a destroyer, so you kind of have to use them as the HE. And since I know this Karlsruhe is AFK, I'm fairly certain he didn't actually move at all in the game. I make a very narrow spread and just fire off a few. Right behind the Karlsruhe, though, I see a Japanese carrier, and I get all kinds of giddy because those are my favorite targets to go for. They're generally relatively slow. They are the big old broad barn-sized side that you just have to, you can hit with pretty much any spread that you can think of. And there's my first hit with the torpedoes, and there goes the Karlsruhe. Very, very quick and easy kills. I got a little lucky because he was AFK. So with a carrier, they don't really move that quickly, so I'll set a very narrow spread and fire 2 of my torpedoes. The Isokaze has 3 sets of 2, so it's got a very generous amount of torpedoes, and they can switch from side to side. So if you are veering left and right, you can still be able to fire an entire spread of torpedoes. And I'm advancing on this carrier just in case my other torpedoes miss, because he might be moving his ship. I might miss. You never know. I'm very, very cautious with this kind of stuff. Try not to waste too many. I mean, you see, he's actually moved out of the way, so it's possible he could have actually escaped that. That being said, I hit him with a couple good torpedoes, and he started to flood, and then I finished him with my guns. That's my second kill right there. So I'm looking around, trying to figure out who or what I can kill, and I get some drop bombs landing around me. That's probably from the carrier I just killed. He's not very happy with me. So that battleship on the left side there, he is
Torpedoes, direct front.
Ridiculously good. I am very impressed with him. He actually chases me down, and he's the one who gets me killed. But you can see that the torpedo bombers are trying to get me. Now you see, this is why trying to get back into this area as destroyer is so useful. I already got their first carrier, and now I've found their second one hiding in this little channel. This is, without a doubt, the most opportune situation that a destroyer captain can get into. You're within 3, maybe 4 kilometers of your enemy, and you just drop as many bombs as you can. And there's no way he can maneuver out of the way. All you have to do is just keep pelting him with torpedoes until he dies. That being said, they do have secondary cannons, so you've got to be careful with that. Alright, so let's go have a look at the stats for that game. Alright, so a fantastic game. 2,300 experience points, 119 extra, and then, you know, I did 3 kills, tons and tons and tons and tons of damage. And then we look at the torpedoes, 77,000 damage with my damage. All right, now we are going to show you that Clemson destroyer game that I said I was going to have earlier. It's the United States Tier 4 destroyer. It really is more a gunboat than a torpedo boat. It is an American destroyer, to be perfectly honest. So on this map, it's tons and tons and tons of cover. All you have to do is be patient and get into a nice position that you know someone's going to be coming along to. So I ended up starting on the eastern side of the map, and there's a long gully that heads all the way down the eastern side. Don't go there. That's just suicide. I like to sneak down just to the west of the main sort of gully area, because a lot of people like to sneak in and try and get through the little center between the two western islands. And luckily enough, where I am now, it actually makes a lot more sense. The little island right ahead of us sits right at the mouth of that little inlet, and it's a perfect ambush spot. You just kind of be careful, because people like me tend to rush straight up towards that area, and you have to be able to be quick on the torpedo button, essentially. Keep your torpedoes pointing in the right direction. I'm trying to keep mine pointed in the right direction. I was sleepy that day, to be perfectly honest. It's like I said, it's more a gunship, but it does have 4 triple gun torpedoes, so it does have a very big hit, but the range is tiny. It's ridiculous. I mean, that being said, it's an American destroyer. It's not supposed to be using his torpedoes all the time. Funnily enough, the Wix that comes before this actually is in a book series that I read called Destroyman. So, like I said, people like to rush up here, and what do I see? Exactly what I was doing. I start slowing down. I'm trying to turn to make sure I can actually get to this guy. He starts going towards the inlet. I slowed down too much. I'm trying to get back, and he's run aground. I just fire off a couple of torpedoes. I'm assuming he's going to be reversing, which he is. And then my torpedoes destroy him a little bit. And those are my favorite kills in a destroyer, is when you get to kill another destroyer with torpedoes. It feels like jousting, like you're like another knight trying to kill another knight, and hey, I succeeded, he didn't. He thought, and what most people would do going in that direction, fire some missiles up that way, and you might catch someone on the other side. Doesn't always work, and sometimes it's a gamble. Here I'm trying to back away because the cruiser across the way has my number, because he knows where I am. Using the islands as cover is very useful, but you've got to try and keep your distance, because that cruiser could technically be firing over the island in certain areas. That's why I'm backing up a little bit to get the highest portion of the island between me and him, and eventually you'll just drop off of the island. So here we're going to switch to a little bit later in that same thing. Here I am moving away from behind the island. I was very, very cautious, trying to hide away from where it was, and I've got a cruiser in my sights. He's a little bit too far away. My torpedoes, the range is just not enough. I believe it's 5.5. He's trying to get me, but I'm just a little bit too quick. One thing that I like about American destroyers, they tend to be very, very light on their feet, and they turn quite quickly, is from my perspective. Granted, I do play a lot of cruisers. So here I am, slowed down. I'm trying to trick the cruisers into thinking, you know, something's happening. I know that there are at least a battleship and a cruiser down towards the south of the island that I'm currently traveling through. And here I am going through the inlet, and just to my left is another friendly destroyer. So we're doing a little bit of interchange right here. Always good to try and help out your friends, and if you work in a wolf pack, it actually works really, really well. It's almost too bad we don't have submarines in this game, because I think that wolf pack mentality is phenomenal, and especially when used by smaller ships like torpedo boats, destroyers, and submarines. You can actually do really well. The trick, obviously, is not firing your torpedoes into your next door neighbor. So here I am. I've slowed down quite a lot so I can sneak around the side here, give the enemy battleship and whatnot that's behind, that I'm coming up on, enough time to get around the corner. So now I put on full speed, I detect everyone, and I've got two battleships right in front of me. It's very hair-raising right now, because you've got two battleships. They can see you, they know you're coming, and they're going to fire all they're basically both broadside to me. So waggle your butt, keep moving back and forth, trying to make it as difficult for them to hit you as possible. Veer in random directions, random areas, etc., etc. So here, I do something a little sneaky. I fire off 2 volleys. I'm trying to get this guy to move. I don't want him facing me broadside. What I do want to do is to determine which direction he's coming in. So now he's moving. Now I've got him aimed in one direction so he doesn't get hit by my torpedoes, and he is stuck in that position until my torpedoes are gone. So I fire directly into his face. His friend gets me with his shots, and I get a lot of really good hits on him. It doesn't end up killing him, because I believe he uses repair very, very quickly. So let's have a look at the stats there. I got 95,000 credits, 766 experience points. Not terribly amazing. I got 1 kill, and I got plenty of flooding for that one. Tons of damage. Really is more of a gunboat, so it's not fantastic, but very, very good kills. I got a little lucky on the first one. So here we are, playing on another Isukazi map, and I'm moving in on these 2 ships on the far side there. The first one, the Omaha, I believe, is very, very sneaky. It's very, very quick, and it's got a longer range than usual. And as you can see right here, the shots are just flying right over the top of me, which I'm very okay with. And here I'm slowing down a little bit, because I want to be able to fire over the top of them. So I'm slowing down, trying to get behind the this island here, because I really think that that's going to be my safest place to go. Fire a couple torpedoes off, because I think, hey, I might get a little lucky. And in this is probably a better position for a Russian or American destroyer, because they've got some really good guns. In this little area here where it becomes really flat between 2 hills, you can just pepper anyone on the other side. It makes it kind of difficult for them to see you, but you know, until they start zeroing in on your guns. So instead of firing, which probably would have gotten me sighted by the other the enemies, I just slow down. I pop my smoke so that I'm actually hiding a couple of the guys from near me as well. Make it very difficult for the enemies to see us. Head up.
Smoke screen set.
I'm trying to help this other cruiser next to me, because there's 3 enemies right ahead of us, and there's really not that many helpers right near us. And we see this cruiser kind of hanging up on the edge here. Drop a couple torpedoes in his direction. It never hurts to throw torpedoes. If you don't use torpedoes, they're useless. You'll miss every shot you don't take. And as long as you're in range, there is a possibility you might hit them. And like you saw in the last video, you can actually use them to herd your opponents around. If you can get it in the right direction, to get them moving in the right direction you want them to move, there's no stopping you. And I fired relatively blind, and I still got a really good hit, and I killed them. It's a very good kill. So that was the end of that Isukazi one, and I ended up, I died quite quickly afterwards. There was only 1 kill. but I still got the explosive metal. Yeah, not a ton of damage, but a very useful illustration of, you know, if you don't fire the torpedo, you're never going to hit it. You're never going to hit the person. Okay, now this is one of my favorite ones. As you can guess, it's the Isakaze again. Like I said, I am trying to get through all the destroyers. I'm really enjoying the lower tier Japanese destroyers in particular. I've seen some really good replays of the gearing, the tier 8, sorry, the tier 10 American destroyer, and all I can think of is, oh, I really want that destroyer. So I'm working my way through. Again, Isakaze, gorgeous ship. It's very light, and it's quick. Not quite as quick as some of the Russian destroyers, but doesn't need as much as those destroyers, which only have 3-kilometer torpedo ranges. Just plain ridiculous. I don't know what they were thinking, but this is one of the early tier maps that you'll see pretty much. Honestly, for me, it's been about 50% of the time I've seen this map. I rarely see the ocean map, but I like the fjords map. I enjoy it, and once you get used to it, you know its nuances. You can fiddle with what you want to do, and destroyers in this situation almost always will veer towards this sort of bay in the corner. It provides the narrowest areas where you might be able to drop a bunch of torpedoes. It also provides a much shorter range for the torpedoes, so you don't have to wait and hope that they're not going to veer out of the way, and give them enough time to move out of the way. And obviously it's myself, there's another destroyer right behind me, and there's another destroyer right ahead of me. So this is where you're going to be careful with your torpedoes, because you can hit one another and you can easily kill each other. So I drop, someone dropped that. Smoke screen, I believe it's the Isakaze right ahead of me. And I fire my guns because I'm right behind his thing, and drop torpedoes. Again, if you're not going to fire torpedoes, you're just not going to hit anything. You've got to keep thinking about how are you going to move these guys around, if you're possible. You've got to think ahead of time with a destroyer. Same way with the battleship, you've got to, preempt what you're going to do. Are you going to turn your big old fat butt around to try and get all your guns to aim at this guy? Or are you going to try and go directly at him to narrow your broadside, but get less hits? Or less likely to get critical, should I say. So the enemy destroyer, I believe it was, popped his smoke and can't see him. He's just disappeared off of the map. Now the other destroyer and I are starting to move up towards that area a little bit, hopefully trying to sneak him out. And I'm just waiting for him to pop back up, because I'm expecting him to fire. I'm expecting him to go after the other destroyer. The other destroyer is playing a very good cat and mouse game right now, because he's dropped his torpedoes and he's running away. And I'm there, and the other destroyer right behind me is there to cover for him if and when this gentleman comes back. And I see just ahead of us is a new ship's just arrived, and it's a little bit too far away for me to worry about. And then the smoke disappears, and the guy's practically gone. He's there, but he's very slow. So I know my torpedoes are unlikely to get to him, but before he gets behind the island, so I drop a couple torpedoes. Fire a couple of my guns. It's very often that as a destroyer captain, you'll forget that you have guns, especially as a Japanese destroyer captain. If you forget, you'll lose out a lot of damage that you should be getting. I drop a couple other torpedoes. There's a battleship heading towards me. I believe it's a Kawachi, Japanese tier 3. And he gets a couple hits from another torpedo boat nearby. But mine are headed straight towards him, and I don't think he's actually moved at all. And here I'm more worried about that other destroyer, and my torpedoes hit the battleship. Gorgeous hits. He is now flooding. He used his repair before, but my torpedoes continue. And my torpedoes hit the other destroyer. Very lucky there. I will admit that completely. I got really lucky, and now I'm in trouble because everyone's coming after me. But my torpedoes are back in repair, reloaded, and I drop them before they can get me. Hit the side of the Kawachi really hard. I keep firing my guns. I sink the Kawachi as well. That was a really good game right there.
We've destroyed an enemy battleship.
I really love it when I get really lucky with those ones. And of course, I'm just fighting as much as I can. Just gonna keep going, because I mean, you're practically dead. You're burning. Get as much damage as you can, because you never know how much more HP points you might get. Got a fairly good amount of kills. I got 2 kills there, plenty of floods, 5 torpedo hits. The torpedo damage that I did, 40,000, just under 40,000, gorgeous amounts. I fired 18, I hit 5. That's not a bad ratio. All right, now my pride and joy favorite game of this compilation. Obviously, it's going to be my last one. The Dusky, Russian destroyer. Like I said before, a ridiculously low torpedo range of 3 kilometers. It's a joke. But you hit like a ton of bricks. It's an amazingly heavy hit. The trick really is getting into range, trying not to get stealth killed, and you have to use as much of the terrain as you can. Otherwise, you're in deep trouble. Let's see. How far? And the Dusky it's nice. It's not phenomenal. I'm just looking up the stats right now because I'm very interested to see just how many torpedoes this thing has, and I haven't really looked at this for a while. There you are. Okay. The impact damage for each torpedo is 6,000 damage, which is plenty. And the speed is 51 knots, which is ridiculous. It's very, 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 very good. And the reload time is, when I was playing this game, I was ridiculously surprised at how quickly my torpedoes were back in stock. They must have been high on vodka for that day. It was amazing. So I do a very similar thing to what I did before. I'll hide behind this island and I will wait for the guy to come into an easy range, because you have to be as tactical as possible with this thing. 3 kilometers is not very far. So I back up a little bit, trying to make sure that I'm getting the right spread, and I've got another a friendly nearby, so I feel like I shouldn't really be firing my missiles. But because I'm in a really good position, I start firing my guns. I'm close enough that those shots are getting much closer to hitting them than normal. I am actually really, really bad about firing my guns. I tend to either forget or I miss terribly. I need to learn how to play one. But I'm getting some really good hits on this guy. I got really lucky on that shot because my friendly guy was right behind him. I set him on a light, and he's kind of low now. Drop a couple of torpedoes because he's really, really close to me. It's very difficult for him to dodge how quickly these things are going. And then I realized that there's another destroyer right next to me. I didn't not see him, and I killed that first destroyer with torpedoes. I was very happy with that one. Again, like jousting, I'm very happy when I kill another destroyer with torpedoes. And I keep, and now I'm worried because, ooh, now you see, now we've got a Kolberg right here, and again, my torpedoes are already ready to go. They're already. I couldn't believe that was the case. So my first spread stops veering at this guy very, very quickly. Lovely rare hits on that guy. My second salvo, only one of them hits, and then I fire another couple of salvos just to keep him going. He's flooding. He'll die in a few hits anyways. I just barely missed this island right here. I actually missed that other destroyer that went past me earlier. I actually got this guy with guns, which can't complain about. I'm very happy when I kill things with guns in this destroyer. Now everyone's going after this other guy, so I figure I'll fire a couple shots. Go find something else to do because this guy's going to be dying in a few minutes anyways. So I've got another guy trying to kill me from behind. I veer back, trying to get a little bit more range on him, so it makes it difficult for him to hit me. And the more you move your guy around, I mean, you're almost always going to be more agile than your opponent. You just need to make sure that you're to get in space and cover as much as possible. And if you have to go in the middle of the ocean map, for example, if you go out into the open, do it sparingly. Be careful about your ranges. Here I am just pummeling this opponent cruiser as much as possible. Lots of St. Louis's in this map for some reason. Well, granted, I'm only level tier 3. Can't really go very far. I actually have progressed through all 3 of the destroyers I've shown you in this map already. I picked up the Minakaze just the other day. It's gorgeous, gorgeous little ship. It's very, very agile. So I'm actually just racking up the hits right now. The more experience that you get, the easier it is to get to the really, really good ships. And firing guns doesn't get you that much, but it adds up. I've had games in the Kohlberg where I just keep firing, keep firing, keep firing. I fire 180 something shots, but I hit 110 of them. And that adds up ridiculously quickly in both damage, in fire damage. It's amazing. So I'm chasing down this guy as much as possible. Then I realize that there is another cruiser coming across right in front of me. So I drop all my torpedoes as much quickly as possible. Oh, sorry, no, it's only 2 salvos. I turn to the other side to try and make sure that it's important to consider the direction that the angle in which your torpedoes are moving, because if they're traveling with him or against him, there's a little harder for them to hit something. And now I've gotten even closer to the opponent, and I dropped everything. That was 8, I believe, salvos in a few seconds worth of time. And this poor guy, he's just gone. Very, 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 very good hits, and I was very happy about that. So that was the last game that I was going to show you. We're going to have a look at the stats in just a second. Okay, look at that. 1,450 experience points, 3 kills, 8 hits, and 6 floodings. Only 966 experience. Not a lot, but it's only tier 3. But that's still quite a lot. Just under 30,000 damage in Torpedo. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like or subscribe buttons. It really helps the channel. Thank you very much for watching.